I began my pursuit of the aurora borealis because I thought it was a way, perhaps, of making me forget heartbreak. I went to a space station in Sweden and talked to scientists there about what the aurora borealis was. But what I really wanted was some sort of aesthetic experience that would allow me to forget about a love affair that was just stuck in my brain. And I ended up in Iceland, just south of the Arctic Circle. It was on the third or fourth time trying to shoot the borealis that I saw this cosmic dance on the scale and in the dimensions that I'd hoped for. My brain couldn't understand what I was seeing, and I think that that's part of the attraction of this natural phenomenon. You simply do not believe what you're seeing. Neither the colors nor the actual dance itself, these enormous curtains that become ribbons in the sky and become these fingers playing the keyboard or the piano of the universe. The other reason for going to the Arctic Circle and going to Iceland and traveling 5 hours, 6 hours north of Reykjavik onto roads that are basically covered in ice is that you are close to the actual donut or the actual curtains of the aurora as they sit on the northern part of the planet, circling the polar caps. One of the reasons for going to Iceland and going to the north is that the aurora borealis is then usually placed right above your head. And that's when you get the sensation of the magnitude of this thing. And you can actually see the donut. You can see the wall of curtains circling with the curvature of the Earth. The northern lights are the result of coronal mass expulsions or ejections from the sun. But there's other technical interests that are more local, like the fact that your jaw freezes as you're standing in minus 23 Fahrenheit. Of course, the worse the weather is, the more dramatic the photograph, especially with the borealis and clouds and a blizzard coming around the corner. One key part of working in the cold is that digital lenses and digital cameras aren't designed to be in those kinds of temperatures. The lenses, when trying to work in infinity, the actual lenses change and your infinity settings become lost or become compromised, and you think you're shooting in infinity and it turns out you're not, and you get all sorts of unintentional blurring as well of the pictures. The wind movement of the tripod, the wind against your camera, there's so many small little things that can make the pictures of the borealis blurry, because you need exposure times of 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 25 seconds, or even half a minute in order to get the picture of the borealis. You have to get out in the snow. You have to be able to walk through water. You have to be able to walk on ice for potentially hours. Often you're filming or shooting in storms, in blizzards, and that lends another aspect to the process, especially in Iceland, where the wind can get up to 30, 40, 50 miles an hour. So almost every aspect of trying to get the picture is a problem you have to overcome. Djupavik, the town I go to in Iceland, has a population of 3. Aussie, Eva, and their dog, Tina. So there is very little man-made light. In order for your photographs to properly show the aurora borealis, you have to be in a situation where there is very little or no man-made light. The dichotomy is that, of course, you need man-made light because you have objects in the picture that need somehow to be lit, which means that the flashlight you bring and how you use it is absolutely critical. And you use the flashlight to paint the objects in the picture, whether it's an abandoned ship, whether it's the wall of a factory, whether it's a small house All of these things need to be illuminated to some degree so that they show up in the photograph. The borealis can only really be shot in wintertime, which means that there are opportunities to make other sorts of photographs in the crevices or in the ice formations that happen in the small streams in northern Iceland. The ice formations change with every droplet, so what you see one day is completely different from what you see 3 days later as ice forms different layers on top of itself. And one of the biggest benefits of shooting the borealis in the wintertime is the chance to shoot the physical surroundings of a land formed by volcanoes. Getting to Djupovic, actually arriving in this small town to shoot the borealis, is also a photographer's dream, because you're driving on ice roads 1,000 feet above the Arctic Ocean, a vertical drop at the edge of the road, no signs, no markings or guardrails. The other reason that I go to north of Iceland is because on this volcanic island, cut by fjords, there is a geology that is fascinating to shoot without people, trucks, tourism, or commerce. And I love being there in the wintertime when I'm the only tourist foolhardy to show up, and you get an inky black sky and the borealis overhead. I think it's very easy to get caught up in the technical aspects of shooting in the middle of winter a nighttime sky phenomena that is very shy, very difficult to capture, quite fast moving. But there's an aesthetic about doing it that I find to be the most compelling reason to do any of it in the first place. There is a sense of awe that I feel every time I'm beneath the aurora. And that awe is driven by the fact that I can see how puny and tiny I am in comparison with the activities of the solar system. So every time I see the aurora borealis, I get a reaffirmation of how incredibly unlikely it is that I am here to begin with, wandering the globe and taking pictures. The odds of me being here and doing this are so astronomically long that I need the borealis to show that if you roll the dice, you'll get lucky sooner or later and end up with a great picture, a great shot.